It's Thursday, July 30th. This is CTV at 6. Here's what's making news tonight. Police look for a motorbiker who hit a cyclist in what might have been a deliberate run-in. Why have there been several serious collisions in the Fredericton area of late?
Cloudy and damp tomorrow, but some returning sun and warming temperatures ahead for the weekend.
Live from our Maritimes News Center, this is CTV News at 6. Here is Todd Battis.
Good evening. As we come on the air, Halifax police are looking for a motorcyclist accused of intentionally hitting a rider on an e-bike in a crosswalk in the city. The incident, caught on camera, has rattled the cyclist, who doesn't understand why or even if he was targeted. He spoke with CTV's Vanessa Wright.
Watch closely. This video shows a motorcyclist headed onto the McDonald Bridge last Thursday night. But before he gets on, he turns around and drives directly into a man on an e-bike. They collide and the motorcyclist drives off. We spoke with the e-bike rider, who did not feel comfortable showing his face.
Because I don't know who this person is. If he's willing to do that, if he finds out who I am and I don't know who he is, what's stopping him from coming after me and doing something even worse?
He says that night he had just picked up his e-bike from the shop and was testing it out for all of 12 minutes before the incident. Exactly 1 week later, he has no idea why it happened.
I was in such shock. All I knew was that I just got hit. And I was like, the hell, and then this guy's taking off. I didn't know what to think. I didn't know what to do.
At this point in the investigation, Halifax police can't confirm whether this incident was targeted or random. And they don't have many details about the guy driving the motorbike either.
What we know about the bike is it was a sports bike, a black sports bike with a tan side panel. And all we know about the suspect right now is it's a white male.
The e-bike rider says he sustained injuries to his back and wrist, and repairs to his bike will cost him hundreds. But beyond a physical and financial toll, an emotional one.
When I watched that video, I didn't realize how fast he was even going. So watching that video, it brought up a lot of emotions, and it's like even talking about it right now, I'm holding back emotions because I feel like he tried to kill me for absolutely no reason.
He hopes the suspect is caught for his safety and that of other e-bike riders.
We have no protection. If we get ran off the road or something like this happens, the consequences are pretty severe. I'm lucky.
Knowing something like this could have ended much differently. Vanessa Wright, CTV News, Halifax.
Now you can see that video again. We have it linked to an article on our website, ctvnewsatlantic.ca. A man is dead after a pickup and a motorcycle collided in the Annapolis Valley. This crash happened last evening on Highway 12 south of Kentville. RCMP say a Chevy truck and a motorcycle collided. A biker, a 19-year-old man from nearby Forest Home, died at the scene. The driver of the truck, a 47-year-old Ontario man, was hurt and taken to hospital. Police continue to look into what caused the crash. And after a number of serious crashes in and around Fredericton, the RCMP is urging drivers to pay attention to the road this long weekend. CTV's Anna Mandan looks at the recent incidents and speaks with experts about the issue.
Local Fredericton driver Juanita Porter has a few techniques to stay safe on the road.
Well, one of the biggest things is to look for people that are crossing crosswalks, because sometimes it seems that drivers want to race to the spot before the pedestrian gets there.
She's not alone. Safe driving is on the minds of many after a number of serious collisions and fatalities in and around Fredericton in the past few months. That includes a two-vehicle crash on the Princess Margaret Bridge in May, where 2 women died and a third had serious injuries. And despite no fatalities, a 3-car accident on the Westmoreland Bridge this month left traffic backed up for hours. New Brunswick RCMP's spokesperson is reminding drivers to be diligent.
One fatal crash is one too many. So we urge the population, urge people on the road to be careful, to put down the cell phone, be observe where you're going and make sure that you are aware of your environment.
And this comes almost a week after a 17-year-old riding a motorcycle died following a two-vehicle collision. Porter says she has advice she follows to be extra mindful of bikers driving near her.
Whenever you see a bike, say it in your head and say it out loud. Bike, bike, bike. See however many you see.
Meanwhile, tow truck driver Noah Starr says summer is always a busy season for his business. He recommends people prepare before they hit the road.
It's important to maintain your equipment. You know, the New Brunswick safety inspection is there for a reason.
Important advice as travelers prepare for the upcoming long weekend. Anna Mandan, CTV News, Fredericton.
Fredericton police were too busy to speak with us today and referred us to a statement issued yesterday about this that says, in part, the force encourages drivers to remain alert and make safe decisions on our roadways. There's a look at the South Shore of Nova Scotia right now. Lunenburg, 5 minutes after 6 o'clock, 19 degrees. Pretty decent looking evening on the harbour there as we bring in Kayla Mitchell for our first look at the forecast, the all-important long weekend coming up.
Yeah, it would have been a much different scene around Lunenburg and parts of the South Shore of Nova Scotia earlier this morning. Right. Fog and some downpours and a few thunderstorms moving through. We talked about this yesterday, but there was some moisture pulled up from the subtropical Atlantic with the weather system currently approaching the Maritimes. That's showing up here through some of the yellows and the oranges. You can see a lot of it is focused out around Sable Island, but some of it made it into the showers, and that kind of bumped them up into that downpour, that thunderstorm territory. And there's a few of those left now as we're making our way into the first part of this evening. We still have some higher rainfall rates within this band of showers. It's working its way up across the northeast of New Brunswick. Other parts of New Brunswick are seeing some patchy showers and drizzle. And we've got a couple thunderstorms that are firing off. These are brief, small thunderstorms, but may come in with some downpours as well. Basically, towards the eastern part of Halifax County and then extending up towards the eastern shore. We could see some of those likely in the vicinity coming into Clam Harbor. They are moving through, so the heavier rain isn't sitting over one location for, hours on end. But if you happen to be in one of these small thunderstorms or downpours, certainly visibility will be reduced. There could be some hydroplaning conditions on the roads. And that area of sort of unsettled weather where there could be some heavier showers and thunderstorms does extend up to the east of Nova Scotia. And there continues to be a risk of some downpours or thunderstorm in locations like Cape Breton as we make our way through this evening. Speaking of Cape Breton, there's a wind warning in effect for northern Inverness County in Cape Breton. Stronger winds being created by basically the topography of the Cape Breton Highlands. It's expected to be around. Hear that howling wind through this evening and towards and maybe even an hour or two after midnight before those winds come down. Just looking at projection for some winds in around the Grand Atang area. I will have more on the forecast, including, as Todd just mentioned, the long weekend ahead when I'm back a little bit later on.
All right, we'll look forward to that. Thank you, Kaylin. Can you hear me now? You know the TV ad, right? For many Nova Scotians, that's an all too familiar question as they endure spotty cell service and dropped calls. As CTV's Calvin Smith reports, recent incidents illustrate just how critical coverage can be.
A cell phone is a lifeline to stay connected to family and friends, but it's also vital in case of emergencies. However, the phones only work as well as the service allows.
I wouldn't get through if it wasn't for Wi-Fi here, and nobody in this area would. If you don't have Wi-Fi, you're probably not getting a call out.
That's Brian Myers, who spoke with CTV News earlier this month after encountering an armed man in Chelsea, Nova Scotia, the suspect of an emergency alert the night before. But when he saw the man walking along the road,
I had to drive at least 2 minutes down the road before my 911 call would go through.
He's not the only one. Coverage concerns were top of mind for some local mayors this week at Premier Tim Houston's tour stop in Bridgewater.
If you draw a circle that's 1 minute outside of Bridgewater in every direction, there's no cellular coverage. And so just kind of joining forces and recognizing that we need some improvement in rural cellular coverage, which he talked about.
It can feel like you're on an island, especially when SOS is all your phone will display. This was near the now under control Mooseland Road wildfire outside Sheet Harbour. The Nova Scotia government says it's improving cell service, expanding coverage to 20,000 homes and businesses and 1,000 kilometers of primary roads. As far as the carriers, Rogers will have 10 more cell towers working this year to hit a total of 27 promised in a deal with the province. Eastlink spent $500 million on its mobile network over the last decade. Bell, the owner of this network, didn't get back to us. For customers stuck roaming, connection can't come soon enough. Callum Smith, CTV News, Halifax.
Ambulance dispatchers in Nova Scotia remain on the picket line this evening, striking over pay and staffing levels. But that does not mean emergency calls are not being picked up. CTV's Jesse Thomas has more.
While they're out marching in the rain this morning, these ambulance dispatchers say their pay is below the industry standard, and that's leading to staffing shortages.
It's a job that takes an emotional toll, it takes a physical toll, and if you combine the stress inherent in this job with the fact that our wages have not kept up with the cost of living, then what you get is high turnover and low retention.
These medical dispatchers work with 911 operators to send ambulances and proper resources to emergencies and have been on strike for almost 2 weeks. The union says it comes down to pay, and they want their salaries to be closer to other emergency dispatchers like those who take calls for the RCMP.
A worker starting at EMC Comm Center makes $23.77 an hour. That's about $52,000 a year. At the RCMP Public Service Answering Point, a starter worker makes $72,000 a year. So that's a $20,000 an hour a year difference.
But despite the labor dispute isn't impacting paramedics or patients seeking medical care. I spoke with a paramedic who says it's business as usual on the ground and that the dispatch strike didn't interfere with their duties, as there's a contingency plan in place, as this is an essential service, meaning management and supervisors fill in as dispatchers to assist with directing calls and traffic, while the dispatchers themselves on strike still work on a rotating basis. The employer, Emergency Medical Care Incorporated, declined an interview request with CTV News, but in a statement said all EHS essential service delivery and operational requirements will be maintained throughout the labor disruption. Focus continues to be on delivering safe, high-quality care. The union says it wants to return to the bargaining table. The employer says they hope for a fair agreement fast. Jesse Thomas, CTV News, Halifax.
We have an update now to a story we brought you earlier this week. People in a rural area of southern New Brunswick fear an aging bridge is compromising their safety. But as CTV's Derek Haggett tells us, a solution is now being promised.
Trucks from the Sackville Fire Department can't travel over the Peck's Cove Bridge because the aging structure's weight restriction has been reduced. The bridge is the only way in and out of the tiny community of Rockport, leaving about a dozen homes without emergency services. Today, the mayor received confirmation from the province a solution is on the way.
They are going to put in a detour bridge, and it's going to be put in before 2026 is over. So this is in the process.
The province says the modular bridge will have a capacity of 43 tons and will be able to accommodate emergency vehicles.
It is happening, or I assume it's happening, and that's great because it should never have gotten this far, in my opinion.
I'm so relieved to know that at least by the end of this year we'll have fire protection and ambulances. They had told us ambulances wouldn't be able to cross before, but now they can.
The mayor says there is a well-prepared contingency plan until the new bridge is up and running.
The municipality of Tantramar dropped off 3 large containers, about 3,000 litres of water, at the end of a side road here in the area, just in case the Sackville Fire Department needs to access water.
I'm delighted that they have extra water out here and that they have a vehicle to use it, and that's all a big plus.
The mayor also says the Department of Natural Resources and the Emergency Measures Organization have the area on a high priority list. No repairs are currently planned for the old Peck's Cove Bridge. Derek Haggett, CTV News, Rockport, New Brunswick.
About an hour's drive away, a wildfire burning on the outskirts of Riverview has now been declared fully contained and under control. Crews have been battling this fire off Pine Glen Road for more than 48 hours now. Yesterday, the town of Riverview said no homes were in danger. Water bombers and nearby fire departments have been involved in the operation. Flames consumed roughly 6 hectares of wooded area.
Get the Maritime's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
The drama over garbage collection in the CBRM continues to play out, with the newest chapter focusing on hiring more staff. CTV's Ryan McDonald is in Sydney. He's at City Hall in the background there. Ryan, you've got more on this?
Yeah, Todd, drama was a good choice of words. In fact, it's been a summertime saga of sorts, this issue of missed or at least inconsistent garbage collection here in the Cape Breton Regional Municipality. And as you just mentioned, Council intended to vote today on whether to hire up to 8 new garbage collection staff to help stem the tide on this issue at a cost of approximately $700,000 more to taxpayers. Now, if, as you'll recall, Todd, this all came to a head back on July 3rd. I remember that day. It was a Friday. It was a 30-degree Friday, and dozens, if not hundreds of people had their garbage collection missed in that sweltering heat of that day. The city explaining that staffing issues, mechanical issues, plus a morning thunderstorm were behind that problem. Now, to peel back the onion and go back a little further as to what caused this in the first place, the city here used to contract out garbage collection, and from all accounts, that process went fine with no problems. But the contract expired back in the fall. They only got one new proposal, and they ended up voting to go with municipal staff picking up garbage collection, and to say the least, there have been hiccups since. And this has been a summertime saga. They were supposed to vote on it today. About an hour ago, the meeting ended, Todd, and that vote actually got deferred. Some council members weren't comfortable going ahead with the vote today. It's been put off to a special council meeting, an in-camera meeting next week, where they say they can discuss some issues like human resources, staffing, and contractual matters that couldn't be discussed in a public meeting like today's, Todd.
All right.
Back to you.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. Thank you, Ryan, at City Hall in Sydney, where the rain obviously has just moved in. It wasn't doing that for most of the day there, but we'll let Ryan get back inside. Okay, we'll take our first break of the evening. Still to come, Kaylin returns with that rain and the weekend weather. We're all interested in that. But next, 2 of soccer's biggest governing bodies are clashing. We'll tell you why in this report.
Could the 2030 World Cup be in jeopardy? I'm Jacqueline Lee. We'll have more coming up.
And this is the Campfire Conditions Report, brought to you by Pine Acres RV, where customers become friends, and we're seeing the beneficial effect of having some rain and some showers in the region after being closed for campfires for much of this week. Campfires are now allowed in the province of New Brunswick. For the province of Nova Scotia, most counties are allowed to have a campfire between the hours of 2 p.m. and 8 a.m. Few exceptions in Cape Breton. Cape Breton County, Richmond County, and Victoria County. There, you can have campfires between 7 p.m. and 8 a.m. And for Prince Edward Island, campfires are currently allowed, with domestic brush burning allowed between the hours of 2 p.m. and 8 a.m. The next update to those provincial restrictions will be at 2 p.m. on July 31st.
There is trouble kicking up in the soccer world tonight. The association representing North American soccer federations is rejecting a multi-billion-dollar proposal to sell some of FIFA's interests to private investors. Now the word boycott's being thrown around. ABC's Jacqueline Lee on the dispute and what's at stake.
New controversy ahead of the 2030 World Cup. In emergency meetings today, 2 major governing bodies taking action after FIFA President Gianni Infantino offered each of FIFA's 211 member federations an instant initial $20 million payout if they agree to sell stakes in the World Cup to private investors. Europe's governing soccer body, known as UEFA, voted unanimously to boycott the tournament and any other FIFA events before then. Later in the day, CONCACAF, which oversees North American federations, also held an emergency meeting and rejected the proposal. FIFA says participation would be voluntary and no member would be required to participate.
Strengthening the commercial side of the game is the natural next step in this evolution. So we believe that the FFE proposal would unlock the sport's potential in every corner of the world across men's, women's and youth football.
UEFA's 55 member associations pushing back, releasing a statement saying in part, quote, no UEFA national teams will participate in any FIFA competition for so long as these proposals remain alive, unless this proposal has been abandoned in its entirety and binding assurances have been given that FIFA will never again open its governance or competitions to private ownership.
UEFA's calculation is that if we boycott ourselves from this tournament, it's not a World Cup. It's like the NBA without the Celtics or the Knicks or the Lakers.
The boycott would also cover the Women's World Cup, which is set to hold playoffs in October. UEFA also saying in a statement that the moment external investors acquire ownership interests in FIFA competitions, football changes forever and commercial return becomes a permanent obligation. Jacqueline Lee, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Well, the World Cup love fest didn't last long, did it? Still to come, showers and drizzle in the region. Kayla Mitchell returns with the full maritime forecast as we look towards the long weekend. The rain fell heavily at times with thick fog along the coast today over Peck's Cove. Where's Peck's Cove? That is just south of Sackville, New Brunswick.
Lots of skies like that in the Maritimes today. Lots of weather conditions like that in the Maritimes.
Look, I have to point out, we didn't stick Ryan McDonald out in a deluge. The rain literally just moved in to Sydney 30 seconds before he came on the air with us, and they're into it now.
That's been the nature of the weather today around the Maritimes. It has had a little bit of almost a tropical component to it. So it doesn't take long for an area to go from that sort of cloudy, overcast sky to have that sky open up and to have a little bit of a heavier shower or downpour move through. Then it might stop for a little bit, and then another one might follow up in behind it. Now, there's going to be some changes ahead of us here in the Maritimes. We close out this week and move into and through the upcoming long weekend. Currently, we're contending with a dip in the jet stream, a trough, and a slow-moving low-pressure system within it. And that's going to be around for tomorrow, even though the chance of downpours tomorrow in the Maritimes is greatly reduced compared to today. But there is going to be cloudy skies, and there's going to be some patchy showers and drizzle. Now, as we move from Friday into Saturday, the low-pressure system begins to move to the northeast of us, heads up towards the south coast of Newfoundland. So we're not going to see instantaneous clearing with this weather system because of the slow speed it's going to be moving at, but there will be some clearing that starts on Saturday for parts of the Maritimes, most notably north and western areas of New Brunswick. That's where there should be the sunniest conditions on Saturday, but even the cloud cover may begin to break up for Prince Edward Island and Nova Scotia afternoon into evening. There'll be a little bit more clearing for Sunday, which is generally looking like a mix of sun and cloud for the Maritime region and some warmer temperatures. There will be a low chance of some showers in northern areas of New Brunswick as a weather front begins to move towards the St. Lawrence River Valley in through Quebec. And that front's slow moving, but it's going to be around as we head into the start of next week. And as it comes a little bit closer to the Maritimes on Monday, it'll bring us a returning chance of showers on that day. And not only for that day, but also on Tuesday, because that looks like the time frame that that next weather front will be around for. Taking a look at our forecast timeline for cloud cover and precipitation, there is still a risk of some thunderstorms and downpours within the showers for parts of the Maritimes for this evening, especially moving up the eastern shore of Nova Scotia and in Cape Breton. During the overnight, patchy showers, drizzle, and fog, and then those type of weather conditions continue into the start of the day for Friday. Now, showers and drizzle are expected to be most widespread in the Maritimes through Friday morning, and then in the afternoon, the showers become a little bit more isolated. But they will be accompanied by a low chance of a couple small thunderstorms in the interior of western Nova Scotia. Taking a look at winds in the forecast for tomorrow, they're going to become northerly for New Brunswick as we make our way through the day, out of the north and east for Prince Edward Island, and for Nova Scotia initially out of the south and southwest. Sustained 10 to 20 kilometers per hour and gusts between 20 and 40. The variable wind direction around the Maritimes is a result of that low pressure system basically moving directly across us. As we take a look at low temperatures in the forecast for tonight, they're mostly going to be around the mid to high teens. It is going to be a bit of a stuffy, muggy night. And then highs for tomorrow, 19 to 22 degrees for communities in the north of New Brunswick, central and southern parts of the province with high temperatures mostly between 19 and 22. Prince Edward Island for tomorrow with high temperatures, 19 to 21 degrees. Cape Breton. The high temperatures tomorrow between 19 and 21. For both the North Shore and Eastern Shore of mainland Nova Scotia, 20 to 23 degrees. Northern and central parts of the province with high temperatures around 20 to 22. In the Annapolis Valley tomorrow, high temperatures 22 degrees, 19 at Digby. And on the south shore of Nova Scotia, mostly between 20 and 22. But like today, because of the mugginess in the air, when we talk about humidex values, many communities will feel into the mid to high 20s. So here's the 7-day forecast, beginning first with New Brunswick, and there's the clearing to a mix of sun and cloud for Saturday and Sunday. Temperatures warming up. Now returning chance of showers with that front from the west Monday to Tuesday of next week, followed by return to a mix of sun and cloud. Looks like some hotter temperatures for Wednesday and Thursday. For Nova Scotia and the outlook, still cloudier conditions on Saturday and a chance of showers for eastern parts of the province, at least during the first part of the day. Sunday, though, a bit more of a mix of sun and cloud, a chance of returning showers late in the day on Monday, and then a continued chance of showers on Tuesday, and that's followed by a mix of sun and cloud Wednesday into Thursday of next week. And for Prince Edward Island in the forecast, cloudier conditions on Saturday, highs near 21, but up to 26 on Sunday with a mix of sun and cloud. Near 26 on Monday with a chance of showers late in the day. Further chance of showers on Tuesday of next week, then a mix of sun and cloud. Looks like temperatures will be warming up again Wednesday and Thursday. Todd.
Okay, thanks, Killen. We'll see you at the end of the show. After the break, we'll talk about skin cancer rates in our region and how AI could bring quick, accurate diagnosis. Dermatologist Richard Langley in studio next. Welcome back. Rates of melanoma, that's the concerning skin cancer, in our region is high. In fact, Nova Scotia leads the country in cases. Still, many people go without timely diagnosis. Friend of the broadcast, dermatologist Dr. Richard Langley joins us. Good to see you again.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, first let's talk about the numbers. Troubling. Are they getting worse?
Yeah, they have been increasing over time for sure. So skin cancer in general, if we step back, most common cancer in humans in North America. Basal cell being the most common, not as serious, but melanoma, as you mentioned, is the most serious, least common. That type has been increasing in particular. Now the rates are about 30. So we talk about rates per population size to adjust for, so 30 per 100,000, which is the highest in Canada, roughly those numbers, and that's in particularly Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Island.
The early detection, we know this is about cancers anyway, but really important.
Yeah, it's the most important thing, we think, because, you know, skin cancer is different from other types of cancer that may be hidden in your body and may take a symptom to come out. With skin cancer, you can see it. It writes its sign on the skin. And if you catch it when it just begins, when it's changing, it's essentially cured. For melanoma, but the longer that you leave it, there's a potential that it can go deeper and then it can spread.
Okay, so that brings up an interesting point. We know there are a large number of Maritimers, Nova Scotians, who don't have a family physician. Right. It can be hard to get a referral to professionals like yourselves, and then it can be a long wait to get in to see you. Right. That is time that is being wasted, really, that people need to see you. So I know you're working on ways to improve this, and we're going to talk about a couple of them tonight. First one is this a mobile, I like the name, the Mole Mobile. Yeah. And it's what it sounds like, right?
Yeah, so it's a program that run by Melanoma Canada, which is a partner with Canadian Dermatology Association, and it started this particular run in British Columbia. It's coming across the country, and it offers patients a chance to have a skin screening. It happens once a year. There'll be 3 dates coming up here this weekend. So it gives you a chance to screen a large number of people that come by that have a concerning lesion. And so I think those kind of screening events we've done before in the Canadian Dermatology Association. We've run them, at beaches. We've done it at the legislature, and they're nice events to really promote education. And in some patients, for example, the Mobile, they've seen over 6,000 lesions this year alone, and they've found almost several hundred potential skin cancers.
Because it is quick, like you say, right? It doesn't take that long to spot something.
Yeah, and if you know what you're looking for, you can find it. And about half of the patients that we see are self-detect them. Women historically have done a better job than men. They tend to come in and they're more proactive. We also remember that women in general live longer than men. So I think many of us need to adopt the traits of being proactive and getting. So if you see something, say something, get it checked.
Something that you have been deeply involved in. We're going to talk about this, called SPOT. This is really interesting. Why don't you tell us a bit about what it is? And it's a new program. It's just been approved?
Yeah, so we're doing it through the Research Ethics Board here at Nova Scotia Health, and we got the final approval for the latest iteration just this last week, and we're going to do an event this weekend. So the concept is, you already mentioned that the issue is the delay in getting into not having a family doctor or a primary care provider, because nurse practitioners are also now seeing, and we're having physician assistants. So getting in to see a trained health professional, that's one problem, not having one or getting in to see one. Then before that, people may have lesions. Like many times I find lesions on patients' back they didn't even know they had. Right. They come in for something else, hand eczema, and they have something, a melanoma on their back. So there's the self-detection delay, or the referral delay initially. There's the getting to see somebody, and people are working late hours. Some people are doing 2 or 3 jobs, can't get in to see a doctor. Yeah. Then they see them, then they get referred. Now, if we think they have a skin cancer, the Division of Dermatology at Dalhousie, we set a very brief time of perhaps a week even to see something. But the problem is it has to be recognized first, and there's some skin cancers that are really tough to find and tough to diagnose. And so specialized techniques that we use, one thing is called dermoscopy, and it really provides us with a whole different, that's what I did my original research on when I started this 25 years ago.
So with SPOT,
we're using that.
Yeah. This is what, again, another...
So suspicious photo overview triage. So what we're doing is, instead of waiting for a typical referral, we're going to use photographs, but dermoscopy, which are high-resolution pictures. So this more advanced way so that some that are missed can be. And so the idea is, instead of a triage happening where maybe it's thought to be not as serious a lesion, we will identify it by seeing a picture of it. And that's the key. By seeing it, we can upgrade this perhaps from something that might take a year and maybe already had a delay to something that is... Yeah.
And people in Halifax this weekend can have access to this, right? You've got a setup where people can come to you, or you're going to the people really on this.
Right, except I won't be. The whole point is that the point is that we can have trained people who will take the pictures, can upload them, and we can see these images, usually within hours or within a day or so, and be able to identify them. So we're going to do an event at the Buskers, and we're doing this as a pilot, and we'll also be working with the Pharmacy Association of Nova Scotia, because pharmacists are in the community. Yeah. Their hours are fantastic. They tend to have a lot, and they're increasingly taking on aspects of diagnosis and treatment.
So this weekend, if you're down on the Halifax waterfront at the Buskers Festival, you will have a setup, or your people have a setup.
On Saturday.
On Saturday. And what? They can just line up, walk in?
So they can come by, and we're going to have, we have medical students that are working on what's called Research in Medicine, which is their project, and we have 2 of them, really great students, that are going to be there, and there's also some volunteers as well that are coming. So we'll have, basically, if you're interested in it, we'll explain it to you. If you want to do it, that's great. You just sign a paper to say you agree. We have to be able to get a hold of your family doctor as well, or your nurse practitioner or whatever. And then you'll have an image taken, it'll get reviewed.
Okay.
And we're also using, one of the things I should mention is we're using artificial intelligence with it as well. So we have a project going on with the Department of Computer Science, and we have an algorithm that's going to also analyze it, because the question is, could artificial intelligence help us? Not that we would replace it, but it might also provide a flag. We might be able to, for example, you imagine if the image has to get transmitted. The question is, could we even be quicker? Could it be done instantaneously? So
an enhancement tool.
Yeah, just try.
The good side of AI, because we certainly talk enough about perhaps some of the pitfalls of it. Yep. Dr. Langley, thank you very much for coming in, as always. We're going to make this a web poll tonight. I want to ask you whether you have been checked for skin cancer. You ever had that done? The options are yes, or no, or maybe you're waiting to be seen? We'd like to hear from you at ctvnewsatlantic.ca. We'll be right back.
Murphy's Logic is brought to you by Kent Building Supplies. Look what we've built together. The opinions expressed in this segment are solely those of the commentator. They do not purport to reflect the opinions or views of this station, CTV News, Bell Media, or its employees.
Tonight in Murphy's Logic, Steve has some thoughts on those e-bikes and e-scooters we see on the streets.
They're not exactly the self-balancing hoverboards that were foreseen in the second Back to the Future movie, about 40 years ago. But e-bikes and e-scooters have become common sights on our 21st century streets, and they are moving people around almost as quickly. Well, it's not much wonder. They're fuel efficient, relatively inexpensive, and widely available for purchase or rent. They're an economical, convenient alternative, particularly in the cities where there's too much traffic and not enough places to park. But they come with few, if any, licensing requirements. Although the regulations for e-bikes vary from province to province, the federal government has set 500 watts as the maximum output for a motor and 32 kilometers per hour as the maximum speed for a power-assisted bicycle. There are no federal guidelines for e-scooters, and regulations on their use vary by province and city. As these devices become more and more popular, it's important that we standardize the rules governing their use. While it's unlikely that 10 provinces and 3 territories and scores of municipalities will agree on every aspect of their regulation, they should be able to agree on the basics, the age at which they can be used, and where, on the streets, or sidewalks, or in bike lanes, and with helmets. There should also be standards for insurance on e-bikes and scooters, including the need for some sort of liability insurance. At the moment, you may or may not be protected if you're involved in an incident that causes injury or damage to yourself or someone else. That's what many motorists and pedestrians are now worried about. Who's responsible if there's a collision, and who pays? And finally, whatever rules are in place need to be well publicized and enforced. And that needs to be done right away, because where e-bikes and e-scooters are concerned, we're already Back to the Future. I'm Steve Murphy.
And Steve will return. In our health report, new research out of Winnipeg has found a way to make it easier and quicker to diagnose Ebola. CTV's Amanda Debison has of the Lifeline.
In Congo, the Ministry of Health is now reporting over 3,200 confirmed cases of Ebola. Official data shows a 50% increase in around a week as the emergency continues to outpace response efforts. There is a Canadian connection to the efforts to speed up diagnosis. A Manitoba-based team was able to quickly validate a portable field test specifically for this strain of Ebola, meaning accurate test results could be delivered in roughly an hour.
We were able to get an assay validated and then deployed out to different Ebola treatment centers and rural health clinics in the area so that there was at least testing capacity in the region. We're still, behind the 8 ball in terms of getting people tested, certainly in the amounts they need to, but at the very least we have a tool that can be used directly in those clinics.
Health officials believe the virus was circulating for weeks before Congo announced an outbreak on May 15th. This strain of Ebola has no vaccine or treatment. Finally, Canadian researchers are looking for people living in rural parts of Alberta to take part in a study to help shape the future of grief support. The study explores how people in rural communities experience grief after losing someone to substance abuse. A University of Alberta professor says she hopes to interview 20 adults who live or have lived in rural Alberta and have lost a loved one to substance abuse. The project uses real stories to understand the challenges of grief in small communities.
As a whole in Canada, we don't do a really great job of supporting people who are going through any sort of grief. And I think especially in rural communities where it's even harder to access a lot of services, talking about and getting support for grief is really, really challenging. And so while we're not, like, this isn't necessarily like an intervention or a support for grief, it's one way of being able to help people work through those feelings.
Researchers will also use art to share the experiences. They've teamed up with an Edmonton artist to turn the participants' stories into art. With Health and Medical News, I'm Amanda Debison for The Lifeline.
We're on the scene, and besides the weekend blockbusters like the new Spider-Man movie, a trio of animated shows debut on streaming platforms this week. CNN's Rick Demigella with a preview.
Snoopy, do you have anything you'd like to sell? What could a dog have to sell at a yard sale?
The beloved beagle goes in search of his doghouse after it is mistakenly sold at a yard sale in Snoopy Presents There's No Place Like Home, Snoopy. The animated special is now streaming on Apple TV.
I get that you're upset that I ran away, but I came back. What's the big deal?
The Proud Family, Louder and Prouder, is back for a 4th and final season. The animated sitcom is out now from Disney+.
Some in Gotham call the so-called Batman a hero. But I ask you, has the Batman made your children safer?
And Batman Caped Crusader is back on streaming. The 2nd season of The Noir Knight is now available on Prime Video. Binge watching in Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
The business report now, and quite a turnaround for the Dow Jones. It closed today up 613 points. We're deep into earnings seasons now when businesses share a financial update with investors. More now from B&M Bloomberg's Marilla Fernandez.
Apple reported earnings after the end of the trading day. The iPhone company reported revenue of just under $110 billion U.S. for its latest quarter. That is 16% better year over year. Mac sales were up 29%, iPhones up 22%, but sales in China are slowing and missed the estimate, which could be why investors sent the stock down in after-hours trading. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar's up to 71.41 U.S. West Texas Intermediate's down to 83.67 U.S. a barrel. Western Canadian Select up over $5 today to 67.17. And the TSX gained 172 points today. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marilla Fernandez.
Thank you, Marilla. Kayla Mitchell on the weather deck. One more look at the forecast.
Yeah, it's cloudy and muggy out here. A little bit of a light shower just beginning, and there are going to be further patchy showers, drizzle and fog in the Maritimes this evening and tonight. And in fact, there's still a couple of thunderstorms around the eastern shore of Nova Scotia and towards Cape Breton. Let's take a look at our viewer picture for tonight. This is a nice shot. This is coming in from a sunrise at St. Andrews, Nova Scotia by viewer TM Boyce. And it is the sun shining through morning mist and fog. So I want to thank them very much for sharing that with us. St. Andrews for tomorrow. It'll be mostly cloudy. There will be a chance some showers or some drizzle throughout the day. The high temperature near 23 degrees, but because of the mugginess in the air, the humidex will make it feel closer to 28. Taking a look at our day planner tomorrow across the Maritime region. To start off the day, it's going to be cloudy. There'll be patchy showers, drizzle, and fog around. And we will have morning temperatures that'll be mostly in the mid to high teens. In the afternoon, it remains mostly cloudy. At the odd peak of some sunshine, not completely impossible for tomorrow. Like today, the high temperatures will be in the high teens and low 20s, but humidex values making it feel in the mid to high 20s in most cases. And even in the afternoon, there will still be a chance of a few showers around the region. Todd.
All right, thank you, Kalen. You have a good night. And finally, for us this evening, many of us have done that drive from Bangor to Boston. It's a bit of a drive. So would you want to walk it? Well, that's exactly what a man from Maine is doing. Next week, Nathaniel Douglas there will start a journey of more than 200 miles. I'll do the math for you. That's 370 kilometers on foot from Bangor to Beantown. Yeah, in his 20s, Douglas battled a brain tumor and says he remembers making that drive many, many times. The 33-year-old is making the journey to raise money for the Boston Children's Hospital. And that long walk is expected to take 16 days. He's going to try to do 15 miles each day. We certainly wish him luck. That is our look at the day here at home. Stephanie Seacos is in this chair with your late news at 11:30. The web and the app have our updates anytime. I'm Todd Battis. Hope to see you for the Friday edition before the long weekend. Till then, have a good night.
CTV News, the Maritime's #1 newscast. Watch live on Crave.